Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is another paid request, this time from Thor. And before people mention, no, I don't have a review of the rundown on my channel anymore. That was one of the reviews taken down because that was one of those videos where I had the webcam and the audio kept clipping and some audio was missing. That's why, thankfully, my friend got me this webcam because the camcorder, not webcam. Thankfully, he got me this camcorder, which is a thank you, Effrey, once again, if you're watching. Great gift. Because my webcam would do this thing where I'm talking, and then it would skip and then it would skip it. So, this is one of those reviews that was deleted because of that. Plus, a couple reviews were deleted because that's when I had the microphone. I'm trying to hold it here, and I'm trying to talk like this, and try to eat the microphone. And I had the microphone in my hand as if I was Phil Donahue or Jerry Springer. So, but this actually, thank you, Thor. Number one, for the paid request, and number two, thank you for letting me have the opportunity to talk about this film again. Because The Rundown is a very underrated movie, underrated film. Now, for those interested in requesting, you just send a paid request pretty much for any type of video, whether it be a topic, review, reaction, re-review, randomness, out of the blueness, commentary, whatever it may be. Feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box under the video. Now, The Rundown is my favorite film with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. It really is, because it's directed by Peter Berg, which by this point, this was his second film he directed. He did Very Bad Things. Peter Berg was known as an actor. He was the star of Wes Craven's Shocker, among other movies. He was in Copland after this, among other flicks. And then later he would direct Lone Survivor. He would direct quite a few films with Mark Wahlberg. Mile 22... What was that last one he did? I forgot what it was called. He did a Patriots Day. But this one, I like Peter Berg's style in this. Like, to me, this is such a much better version of that film Dwayne Johnson did recently, Red Notice. Because they're both films where he joins with a funny guy. Ryan Reynolds in that one, Seann William Scott here. These are the point that they get into the jungle and they're looking for this treasure. And I'm like, this one, the direction just felt a lot more style, energy, use of slow motion, great use of angles where you really get that impact. Like when The Rock is fighting Ernie Reyes Jr., those guys in the jungle, and they're going super fast. And the way you get the wide angles, where when The Rock gets the stick and is on fire, and he does this boom and baseball bat right across this motherfucker's head. And then there's a guy reaching for something, he runs, boom! It's shot wide enough to fully see the impact. That's a good usage of slow motion. Even in terms of editing, like when Peter Berg wants us to see that The Rock's character is able to kind of notice certain things other people wouldn't. He doesn't overuse that trick, but he uses it when he needs to. Like when he's first getting ready to meet Christopher Walken, our main villain. He's noticing who's around, what's happening. Same with in the finale. So Peter Berg did a nice, energetic showcase of direction in this. And the plot of the film, The Rock, he owes a debt. So he has to do these jobs where he's a bounty hunter, he's a retriever. At one point he goes to a club and has to deal with these big, massive football players to get this money. And if not the money, then some collateral. And a fight breaks out. Funny enough, that's a scene where Arnold Schwarzenegger has a cameo. And when he passes by The Rock, he's like, have fun. I like to pass you the baton. Which, funny enough, that actually came to fruition. Because even at the time, there were people thinking, well, could The Rock be the new action hero? Could he be the new Arnold? because they have that sense of humor about themselves and ability to perhaps do one-liners, and they kind of went into the same direction where for a while people are like, oh well, The Rock did Doom, that bombed. This film sadly bombed. I don't know why, but this film didn't do well. Walking Tall wasn't really a smashing success. Maybe made a little bit of money, but not a ton. That was, I think, 2004 after this. And then Doom was 2005. But then you look at The Rock now, and he did a lot of crap, in my opinion. But, Jungle Cruise made money, I think. Red Notice must have made some waves, because it's getting a sequel. I don't know if Jungle Cruise made money, but they don't make it seem as if it lost a lot of money. The Jumanji sequels made money. He was in a lot of the Fast and Furious films, which made money. They put him in a ton of stuff and material to put the sick and tired seeing The Rock. But if you think of action heroes today, he is one of the more successful, just like Arnold was very successful in his time. And The Rock does kind of sell himself as a commodity. I think that's why The Rock in this movie works better. Because The Rock is a commodity. He's a product. Meaning, hey, who's got the money? You got the money? Okay, I'll do Rampage, I'll do Skyscraper, I'll do this. They're paying me enough money. I don't. What you need? You need a smile? You need maybe one of these? People's eyebrow, yeah? Maybe, maybe not. Okay, you don't want me. You got the smiles. And jungle. Do I have a jungle in there? At least this was like his first time in the jungle. Now, he was Jumanji sequels in the jungle. Red Nose was in the jungle. Jungle Cruise in the jungle. How many fucking movies don't mean the jungle, dude? And they all start feeling the same, like a commodity, like a product. Here, The Rock seemed more pure because he didn't have a lot of experience making movies. He only done The Mummy Returns and then started in The Scorpion King. But he was still new to the game. I mean, wrestling is one thing. Movies are a different animal. And he still had that kind of attitude. He still had that factor that he wasn't just a total goof. He still, I don't know, would maybe let people tell him, hey, do it this way, do it that way, be directed a bit more, use better, use more properly. Hell, this is one of the few films he uses guns for. Well, he uses a little bit of guns in Fast and Furious, but what I mean by is like you look at the Jumanji sequels and even a good chunk of Jungle Cruise and like this is PG-13, but it doesn't feel family friendly. I don't know if that makes sense. Like the other films feel more family friendly. Even Skyscraper felt tame. Like this felt more, and it's PG-13 still, but it felt like more just badass. More, it just didn't feel as kiddified like a lot of The Rock's films nowadays. It's like The Rock knew what product he was, and that's where the diluted material started to rise. And that's one of the reasons why this is my favorite film of The Rock. I also liked Race to Witch Mountain, which he was in. I actually thought that was a decent remake. But yeah, Arnold gives him the baton, like, have fun. Again, Peter Berg, I thought, with the work of his team, has some nice editing moments. Like when The Rock is looking at the football players, and it's edited like these are the football stats, and something you would see on some NFL TV show. These are the montage, the clips of how powerful they are and how big they are. And The Rock's able to fight him, do choke slams, throw a record scratcher. show what he can do. And then his next job, he's supposed to get Seann William Scott, who's in the Amazon. He goes on his way around the town of El Dorado. Originally, this film was going to be called Hell Dorado. Then it was called Welcome to the Jungle. In fact, overseas, there are areas that still call this Welcome to the Jungle. Which I will say is a better title than The Rundown. Like, The Rundown, I got the runs. You got the runs? Yeah, I got the runs, and I don't want to see the rundown. It's like a different version of the runs. That's like the runs if you're downhill in a ditch. Like, Welcome to the Jungle does sound like a better... Like, they should have kept that title, Welcome to the Jungle, and then the trailer should have been Guns N' Roses. Welcome to the Jungle. Why the fuck did they do that for that Jumanji sequel? Should have been done for this. So yeah, I do think Welcome to the Jungle would have been a better title, and I do think advertising with that song would have been a better fit to show The Rock's power and the comedy between him and Ryan Reynolds. And Ryan Reynolds, oh my god. Seann William Scott. Which is funny, I was about to get to him, and I was going to say, Seann William Scott, if his career went a little bit differently, I think he would have had the success Ryan Reynolds had. And I like Seann William Scott. He plays a guy who's looking for this treasure. People think he's in it for the money, but you realize he's in it more for the glory. To get his name out there. He was going to give it to a museum. The Rock wants to take him back. There's animosity between the two, of course. You also have Rosario Dawson. Rosario, which I liked her as an actress. She runs this bar, but you realize she's also with the local resistance, who are against Christopher Walken, our main villain, who has a slave camp at these mines. And Rosario wants to find this treasure to help sell it and pay to help all these people get away from these slave labor type mines. And excitement and fun happens. But Seann William Scott, he was in American Pie. This is a time they tried to make him a star. And Sally, all the films he did were bombs. This film was a bomb. Didn't deserve it, but it was. Bulletproof Monk, which is not a good movie. With Chow Yun-fat. Yes, I pronounced it Chow Yun-fat. I know it's pronounced differently, but that's easier for me to say it. But that film sucks. I mean, the big thing about that movie, which isn't really... probably makes sense to no one today, because not how it is today. Why do hot dogs come in blah? Why do hot dogs come in 8 and hot dog buns come in 10? Doesn't make sense because they actually did fix that years after the film. So people are like, what are you talking about? No, it doesn't. Well, that's the biggest thing, and also the wannabe Matrix action. Like, Bulletproof Month sucked, so I understand why that flopped. Dukes of Hazzard, which I actually don't mind as a film, but that didn't do well. It seemed like it did well, but the thing is, with the Dukes of Hazzard movie, the company had to pay a shitload of money to these people that... This is a tangent. The Dukes of Hazzard was based on this film called Moonshine Runners, or something like that. Well, Moonshine Runner was I forget the exact movie, but it was about people running moonshine through the county. Hey, we want to make a TV show. Okay, we changed some things to make it the Dukes of Hazzard. Well, when the big film company decided to do the movie, they got the rights to the TV show, but they never talked to the people that the show was based on. So the people who owned that movie went, wait a minute, motherfuckers. This whole thing is based on our idea. We don't get any cut of it. Put that shit in my hand. And then the company had to pay a lot of money to the moonshine guys because someone fucked up and didn't do the research. So that's why the budget ballooned up to higher than it was supposed to. So it seemed like it made money, but it didn't. So there you go. But that film didn't do well. And like I said, if the reason I say with him and Ryan Reynolds, like Ryan Reynolds was on that same trajectory. He was. Like Blade Trinity wasn't a hit. He had done, a comedy people liked, Van Wilder, but he did Blade Trinity was a flop, Green Lantern was a flop, X-Men Orange's Wolverine was an embarrassment. Can't even say it right. But did he do? Yeah, he did R.I.P.D. And that was a bad film. That was an embarrassment. He was ready to go the route of Seann William Scott. If it wasn't for Deadpool. Deadpool saved his career. If Deadpool was ever made, Ryan Reynolds would have been like Seann William Scott. I really do believe that. Deadpool saved him. And then Deadpool 2. And then that led to films like Free Guy. Or doing this film. And he's still cashing in on the success of those Deadpool movies. And again, that saved his career. Seann William Scott didn't have a movie that did that for him. And again, I thought they both kind of have that similar comedic route. So it does make me feel a bit bad with Seann William Scott because I do like him. I think he has potential. And he has more energy here than Ryan Reynolds does in Red Notice. Like, Ryan Reynolds, he's kind of in that, hey, I know what I need to do. I come in, do my thing, leave, blah, blah, blah. But Seann William Scott, whether it be the thunder, lightning, thunder, but I don't think he was ever annoying either. And I thought him and The Rock worked well together. And The Rock actually took, it sounds stupid to say, but he took the role seriously because a lot of times nowadays, he'll be doing a role, but at the same time, it seems like, not that he breaks character, but that he's being serious, but then he's kind of breaking character, smiling, and then being serious. I don't know how else to put it. But here, that's not the case. Like, he kind of follows the trajectory of this character. I don't know how else to put it. I know this sounds stupid. And the action scenes work well. Whether it be the bar fight where he's doing drop kicks and he slides a gun mat that makes someone slip and fall on their ass, or someone has a whip and he throws a table, and the fact that Peter Berg had the right idea that for most part he shoots the action wide so we see it. Maybe you argue the club at the beginning is a bit too, and I think it didn't help that the lights were, it was dark, and if you have epilepsy, be careful of that scene. But like the bar scene, and when him and Seann William Scott is in the jungle and they find these guys, including Ernie Reyes Jr., Tino from Ninja Turtles 2 Secret of the Ooze. I'm like, damn, Tino got ripped. Tino was fucking 8-pack, not a 6-pack, he had a fucking 8-pack. Ba-ba-ba-ba. And just how fast he is. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. I'm like, damn. Shit. Damn, Tino. Holy shit. But the way Peter Berg had the scenes from Wide where you see how quick Ernie Reyes is and how there's wire work, but this is wire work I could deal with. It's over the top, granted. Yes, it's unrealistic, but in this instance, I was fine with it. I kind of enjoyed in this instance, the comic book sensibility of it. And then when The Rock gets his comeuppance on them and just using his strength, and again hits two people at the same time with a stick and then on the ground, and again one's on fire, the stick, and bashes the guy right in the face. You feel that impact. I thought Peter Berg captured that very well. And the supporting cast. Like I said, Ernie Reyes Jr., man, I haven't seen you in a while. Haven't seen you since Surf Ninjas and Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze. Great to see you again. Again, Rosario Dawson. This is before she really made it. Nice to see her in there. She's, I always liked her as an actress. She had, I thought, natural delivery of her dialogue. Like I said, Seann William Scott. Christopher Walken is the villain. He's a fun villain. There's a bit where he's trying to tell them that they have something of mine. I want it back. But he tries to do this tooth fairy analogy, and they don't understand what the tooth fairy is, so then he's trying to explain to them what the tooth fairy is. He takes a damn tooth, and the guy gives you a quarter. They got my tooth. I want it back. Now, there are flaws. Granted, there are flaws. Once in a while, you have some messy CGI, because it's 2003. Like, when they do get the treasure, and there's this trap dealing with these sticks that holds these boulders up, and then Seann William Scott gets the treasure, then they gotta leave and escape. The whole thing comes down. That is ugly CGI. I mean, ugly. Horrendous, horrible CGI. Just terrible. And that sadly was par for the course in a lot of these films back in the day. I mean, I would say that's the worst offender, and there's a lot of practical nature to the fights and choreography, which I appreciate. But I had to bring up that scene because that's an awful CGI scene. And not all the humor works. I mean, I didn't need the Monty. There's a bit where our heroes are upside down, and the Monty lands on the Rock's face and is humping it. He's trying to do dominance. I didn't need a Monty humping the Rock's face. But some of the other goofy stuff worked fine. Like when Rosario gives him this fruit, and they both eat it, and it makes them hallucinate, and then makes them paralyzed for a bit. And again, Peter Berg had a nice handling of the action. The finale is a lot of fun, where they do this thing where the Rock says, I can't use a gun. Bad things happen. I won't use a gun. Won't use a gun. But then Seann William Scott's in trouble, and he gets 2 shotguns and just goes to town. Now, yes, it is PG-13. But The Rock, and this is what I realized. Number one, it looks cool. I liked all the different ways he cocks the shotguns. He gets both of them under his armpits, goes over. He cocks one with his foot. He does one on the side and just shows how much of a badass. I thought the way Peter Berg's captured all the angles and the music is rising up, and he had this fast cut editing before he opens his eyes and the devil brings his due. It has a good building momentum to it. And I was going to say, Dwayne Johnson doesn't do that in a lot of movies. If you think about it, with guns like that. Think about his movies, especially nowadays. When does he use a gun in that fashion? Doom 2005, he was playing a villain, and did some stuff at the end. But an Arnold, or even a Stallone, when does The Rock do that? Go to town on bad guys with guns? He really doesn't. Especially not nowadays. I mean, he barely did that in a film like G.I. fucking Joe 2. You say, well, it's G.I. Joe 2, no one dies. Well, Channing Tatum died. Although I'm sure he was glad to have died because he didn't like G.I. Joe. I'm like, well, I didn't like G.I. Joe either, so we agree on something, Channing Tatum. But The Rock never gets to do that stuff. I think it's by choice. Which is weird because there's talk of The Rock doing this video game movie for Xbox, and I'm guessing it's Gears of War. Unless it's God of War. And now I'm thinking maybe it's God of War because he says it's a video game franchise. It might be God of War now that I think about it. I just figured Xbox, it'd be something specific to Xbox, Gears of War. Maybe it's God of War. Man, I don't know. And The Rock plays a Sparta. Whatever. But yeah, The Rock, I think by choice he just doesn't want to do that kind of movie. Guns a-blazing. And, this wasn't rated R. I think it would have been cool to see rated R. But, I could live without it, too. But I wish The Rock would do that more, like he did in this scene. I did, even in PG-13 style, it was a lot of fun, and like I said, Peter Berg directed the hell out of that scene with the different angles, use of slow-mo when it needed to happen. Yes, once in a while, a little bit added CGI, like during the explosion, but that, to me, is more of a nod to an 80s action scene than some of the stuff that's labeled that in some movies nowadays. And like The Rock, like, uses his body, like he jumps and he spears through this pillar. And again, the way Peter Berg shot that, where The Rock jumps and Peter Berg chose the right angle and The Rock goes. Like, Peter Berg got the idea of just how to show the impact. Like, yeah. Show the strength and show. I really did appreciate that. And there's like the scene where he's fighting the whip guys. I mean, there's even a reference to Rocky 3 at the very end of the film. Seann William Scott, like, this is before the end credits when things are wrapped up, and I think Seann William Scott goes, "I'm gonna bust you up." And then The Rock goes, "Go for it." I'm like, is that Rocky 3? I think this is a reference to Rocky 3. So, I mean, Rocky 3 reference. Can't go wrong with that, but yeah, if you want to see Red Notice done well, The Rundown did it very well. It's a fun adventure movie. It goes by a very fast pace. It's highly entertaining. The Rock, this is more of his pure form. That's the best way to put it. Seann William Scott, sadly you don't really get to see him much anymore. Because I thought he was a fun presence. The action scenes are entertaining. Yes, I do, part of me wish they went full R-rated, but for PG-13, I like the slow motion usage. I like the way that, like I said, Peter Berg, how he handled a lot of the scenes, to show the impact of it. Good supporting cast, Rosario Dawson, Christopher Walken. One of the bad guys, I believe, is Jonathan Grease. Jonathan Grease. The guy who is the werewolf in the Monster Squad. And he was also the uncle in Napoleon Dynamite. I think that's Jonathan Grease. And this, he's one of the bad guys working with Christopher Walken. I think that's him. Even the one, I don't know if he was Scottish. Right, I couldn't understand what the fuck he was. There's this pilot with this heavy accent that flies the Rock in, and it's Scottish because he has the fucking bagpipes and stuff, and there were times where I couldn't understand what the fuck he was saying, and I needed subtitles, but he didn't annoy me. It's okay, I get why he's kind of a fun presence, but again, I need subtitles on the guy. But I know sometimes that was part of the joke, but it's like, still. But I mean, I could deal with him too, watch it again. He didn't bother me. So overall, very fun movie. Still my favorite movie with The Rock in it. If you want to take a page on maybe how to fix your films, go back and rewatch The Rundown. Look at what worked and what didn't work. Because Red Notice is a lame, piss-poor imitation of that movie. So, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later.